So let's start off with simultaneous equations and how to do them. And I've called this the easy ones. The reason I've called these easy simultaneous equations, because basically the only other types are the ones which have like x squared or y squared. So, by default, these two get called like these questions, the ones where you just have no squareds or nothing, are easy. Yeah, that's just how it works, I'm afraid. So yeah, cool. So let's go into how to do them. I guess first let's kind of start with what's happening, and it's simple. We need to find the x and y, which if we substitute into both of these equations is going to work. So now it's quite easy to find an x and y which will work for one of them and not the other. So for example, let's look at x equals 1 and y equals a half. Alright, so if we sub that into the first one, hopefully you get that 3 times 1 is 3, then 2 times a half is 1. So look, can you see that this x and y, it works for this one. But try sub it into there, 4x, yeah, when x equals 1 is 4. 5y when y equals a half is 2.5. So obviously that equals 6.5, but this one needs it to equal 17. So that's the problem we have. So it's relatively easy finding x and y which works for one of them, but it's quite tough. But it's quite tough to find one which will work for both of them. On the flip side as well, I could have given you an x and y which works for the second one, but it won't work for the first. We're looking for that, special combination which works for both of them. So that's where we're at basically. So, alright, so how do you do that? So here's the first step, and I've wrote the steps out here. And once you do enough of these, it's straightforward enough. You want to times the first and the second equation by certain numbers, and your aim is to basically get the number in front of either the y's, the same, or the x's. Because what's going to happen once they're the same, we're going to try kind of like cancel them out. So for this one, I'm going to try and make the y's cancel. So what I'm going to do is, because I've got 2y here and I've got 5y here, can you see if I times this equation by 5, that I'm eventually going to get 10y. Yeah, and I'll show you why that happens and stuff on this side. So times that, that'll give me 10y. And obviously timesing 5y by 2 will also get me 10y. So all I'm doing is this. So, hopefully you can see that this equation right now is like that. So all I'm doing, these two sides are balancing. So if I times this side by 5, can you see I'm going to get 15x plus 10y here? You see I times 4 by 5, I get 20. So that's how I transform that equation. On the flip side, this one is just this. So if I times this side by 2, I'll get ax plus 10y. And on this side, I get 34. So that's the first thing I do. And I'll call those two new equations C and D. So this is what C and D look like. It looks like 15x plus 10y equals 20. 8x plus 10y equals 34. And now look, so let's take a step back. So obviously I'm trying to find the x and y which works for both. The reason I'm trying to cancel these y's out is that if I knock those out, can you imagine if I knock those out? I'm just going to be left with x's and numbers. So, then I'm just going to get to a point where, I get to something x equals something. And that I can solve. So watch out for that. That's why I'm doing it. I think a lot of people, you end up doing this, but you don't really know why. And that's one of the reasons where, when you try to do the harder one, you're clueless. Well, that and the fact that a lot of people struggle with quadratics. It's alright, so you've got two equations, yeah? And I'll tell you right now, so look, we've done that. Multiply both equations by a number, so that the amount of x's or y's in both is the same in both equations. So we times the top by 5, bottom by 2, and now our number of y's are the same. So now we've got three options. We can either, as you look here, C plus D, add them together. Yeah? We can either start with this one and take this one away, or we can start with this one and take this one away. So that's our three equations. Now listen, at this stage is where people make most of the mistakes on these questions. they'll mess up these, like, it's these signs, you know. These signs are what kind of like confuses them. Sometimes when they should be adding, they take away. And again, it's because they're screwing up their like negatives. So let's have a look at this. So let's logically think of these. And all I want you to think about is just the y's, firstly, how they're going to cancel. So first things first, you want to get very clear in your head is these are plus 10y's. And this is plus 10 as well. So if we add plus, so remember C has plus 10y's. And so that's this one. And we're adding plus 10y's. Again. Yeah, so we've done that. And obviously 2 pluses make a plus. So can you see that's going to end up giving us 20y. That's going to be useless. So our y's are not going to disappear if we add them together. Now, if we instead tuck C minus D, and again we're just looking at the y's, and I'll show you what happens with the full equations, but just follow me. So look, again with C, we've got plus, so on the green, we've got plus 10y's in C. That's this one right here. Yeah, so that's this done. Now we're taking away, yeah, this thing. So take away the amount in D, which is again this one, plus 10y's. And that's why I like to always think of the signs. When you work with the signs, you don't mess this stuff up. Minus and plus is a minus. So can you see, then that becomes plus 10y minus 10y. And that's going to cancel out to 0. So this will work. Now, what about the other one? The other one will actually also work. Because think about this. D has plus 10y's. And we're taking away the amount of y's in C, which is also plus 10y. So can you see that's also going to become a negative plus 10y minus 10y. That's also going to give us 0. So it doesn't matter which one of these we do. But one is obviously going to work better than the other. And the reason is this one's got 15x. Yeah, because we're not just going to be taking with the 10y's. We're going to work with the numbers and the x's as well. So if you do C minus D, you're going to have 15x minus 8x. That's going to be positive 7x. If you do it the other way around, you're going to do 8x minus 15x, which is going to give you minus 7x. And you know, they're both going to be right, but wouldn't you rather work with positives? Yeah? So here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing C minus D. Alright? So let me just kind of like, you know, I mean, let me show you like the quick way of doing it, and then let me actually tell you why that works. Through actually like, you know, rather than just things. So if I do C minus D, literally this is all you have to do. Just do plus 15x. So if you want to find out how many x's there are, just look at how many x's are there here, plus 15x, and then obviously take away. You've got to kind of decide what you're doing to it. This plus minus 8x, obviously that becomes minus. Can you see if I do this, then I'm going to get 7x here. You don't have to put the plus. These ones will cancel, as we said. That's the whole point we're doing this. Plus 10y minus plus 10y will be 0, so they're gone. You can either put 0, but I'm not even going to bother because it's just disappeared. Put the equal sign where it is. And now, always make sure you get the order right. We're doing C minus D. So the number in the C here is 20 minus 34. So that's going to give us minus 14. Right, happy with that? So that's it. So look, that's the whole point of doing all of this. We were literally just trying to get to an equation like this. We can solve this. Yeah, that's just, all this is that. Yeah, so all we have to do is divide by 7 both sides. And hopefully you guys are happy that that equals minus 2. So your x equals minus 2. And more or less you're done now. So now, so you see, solve that equation, and here's all you have to do. Pick any one of these equations, yeah? And just sub x in. So I'm just going to pick this one. So look, 3 times minus 2 would give me minus 6. Plus 2y equals 4. Now I just substitute, now I just rearrange that to make y the equation. So I add 6 to both sides. I get to 2y equals 10. Divide 2 both sides. Y equals 5. So there you go, that's my answer. My answer is that x equals minus 2, y equals 5. Now, and I'll just show you why that works anyway. So, let's plug that into the second one as well. What is 4 times minus 2? That's minus 8. Plus 5 lots of 5, which is 25. Yeah? Does that equal 17? Yes, it does. Minus 8 plus 25, or another way to think about it, 25 minus 8 is indeed 17. So that's how we literally did it. And that's how you do it every single time. The only thing you really have to be careful with is you make the right choice of the way you want to kind of take it away. I guess I can show you as well. Imagine if you did... So now let's kind of just, some of you might get this, but it's important to know this. If I did it the other way around, so say if I did d minus c, this is what would have happened. So remember, now I'm doing plus ax minus plus 15x, which just that becomes a minus now. And that will give you minus 7x. So, but here's the thing, this will still cancel because you've got plus 10y minus plus 10y. See, that becomes a minus. That's obviously just going to cancel. And then obviously get the order wrong. We're doing d minus c. So we get like 34 minus 20, which is 14. And that's obviously on the other side. So you get an equation which equals minus 7x equals 14. Obviously that still solves. You just divide both sides by minus 7. So you get to 14 over minus 7, that equals minus 2. So it will work, but I trust you. Just use your brain basically. Just take away almost like the smaller amount, if you will. But after a bit, once you get, that's the only bit you've got to be careful with. I guess what I want to show you as well. Now listen, I started off by making these y's equal. I could have made the x's equal as well. It wouldn't have mattered. Because imagine this, yeah? I could have times both sides here by 4. Sorry, the top one I want to multiply by 4. Because can you see that will give me 12x. If I multiply this one by 3, that will also give me 12x. So look, this is what my c and d become. So if I multiply this side by 4, I'll get 12x plus 8y equals 16. If I multiply this by 3, I'll get 12x plus 15y. It's 15y, right? 17 times 3 is 51. I should know that off the top of my head. Shame on me. Alright? But yeah, there you go. And then, so what you do now, you've got to be careful here. So, obviously if you add c and d, yeah, obviously just look at the x's just try and cancel it. You've got a plus and a plus. So can you see that you're going to get plus 12x plus 12x. So that those two will give you a plus. So this one is going to give you 24x. Yeah, that's pointless. So don't do that. Because your x's don't cancel, so you're just going to create a brand new equation which has x's and y. So you're not solving your problem. So again, in this one, you just got to kind of take it away. So it's going to be you either do d minus c. They will basically both make these cancel, but be smart here. You've got more d's here, so you might as well. The smart option is to do d minus c. So now imagine this, all right? So they're going to cancel. You're going to get 15y. Plus 15y minus plus 8y, which is just a minus. So that's going to give you 7y again. Yeah? And on the flip side, on the other side, you're going to get 51 minus 16, which is 35. So, and that's literally what you're going to get. So, it's almost kind of like you do it like this. You almost do it the other way around. So 51 minus 10, because we're doing d minus c, you can get this equal to 35. That's going to cancel, plus 7y. So, and then you just solve that. 7y equals 35. So you get y equals 5. So did you see we actually get a y first here? And then we can plug it into any one of these. Look, I'll pick the second one this time. So look, 4x plus 5 times 5 equals 17. Take away 25 from each side. You get 4x equals minus 8. Divide by 4. X equals minus 2. Really doesn't matter what order you're doing. So I guess for the remainder of the video, I'm just going to go through more examples. And I'm going to change it up. I'm going to show you when 1 equals plus, 1 equals minus. And that's really it, you just got to be... With this one, it's so straightforward, but just make sure you understand this bit correctly. If you make the right choice here, you're fine. And as long as you don't mess up your numbers, it's so straightforward. So okay, let's kind of go on to an example where one's got like plus and minus. And to be honest, this is my favorite one. Which one am I doing? Yeah, plus 5y equals 19. Got 4x minus 2y equals minus 18. This is my favorite type. A lot of people hate when you're dealing with a plus and minus. I really like it. So, I try to, if I got a plus or minus, obviously I could times this by 4 and this by 3 to make these equal and then to try cancel them. Forget that, man. Let me show you why. So, I would multiply this by 2, I'd multiply this by 5. It doesn't always happen like that. It's the examples I have here. So, what's my C going to become? What's my D going to become? My C becomes 6x plus 10y equals 38. The next one is going to become 20x minus 10y equals minus 90. Now let me tell you why I really like it when you get 1 plus and 1 minus. The reason I like it is it's a no-brainer. Because think about this, whenever you have opposite signs, it's always going to be C plus D. Because let's think of the y's. Now C has plus 10y, and the other we're adding the minus 10y. So that one always cancels like that. When they're opposite, you always add. Yeah, that's going to give you 0. The other ones aren't going to work. Yeah, and a lot of people make the mistakes with this. Let me show you why it won't work. So C has plus 10y, then we're taking away D, which has minus 10y. So you get plus 10y minus minus, which becomes a plus. So you end up with plus 20y. It's not cancelled out. On the flip side, the exact same thing will happen with D minus C. D has minus 10y. Now we're taking away plus 10y. So that plus minus becomes a minus. Now you've got minus 10y, minus 10y. That gives you minus 20y. Okay? So don't do that either. So there you go, simple. The thing you want to do is C plus D. And now this is the easiest one to deal with by the mile. Because you just got plus 6x plus 20x, 26x. That's gone. Equals, add these two together. What does that equal? Minus 52. And now it's just a case of divide both sides by 26. Which, 26 goes into 52 twice. By the way, I know that's not properly obvious, but if you ever get a question like this on the non-calculator, because sometimes I see people, I see questions kind of running into like this, so, you get 27x equals 81. So obviously you're doing that, 81 divided by 27. But if it's on the non-calculator, it's always going to come out to a nice number. They're not going to expect you to know that this goes into a 3.5 times. I guess the smartest thing to do is just really cancel this down and you get eventually 3 to 1. But most of the times, take my word on this, just do the 27 times table. And I bet you it hits perfectly. And it won't take long, it won't be a big number. They don't expect you to know your 27 times table. But anyway, yeah, so you've got x equals minus 2 in this. And then it's just a case of plug it in. I'll plug it into the top one. So, we'll get 3 times minus 2, which will give you minus 6, plus 5y equals 19. So I'd add 6 to both sides. So I get 5y equals 25. And again, y equals 5. So that's funny. You've literally got 2 different equations which have the exact same answers. X equals minus 2, y equals 5. That was the exact same one, right? As last time? Yeah, well, whatever. It still works. Right, so let's do another one. Yeah, and it's really just, again, I'm going to say this, right? Just focus on getting that right. And then after that, you're cruising. You're absolutely cruising. So what are we going to do this time? Right, let's do this then. I don't want 2 pluses. Let's go for that one. That one kind of looks interesting. 4x minus 3y equals 11, and then 10x plus 2y equals minus 1. My favorite. When I see a plus or minus, that's when I'm happiest. So I times this one by 2, I times this one by 3, because that's going to make my y's equal. It's going to give me 6y. That's also going to be minus 6y. My favorite situation. So that's going to give us C and D like this. 8x minus 6y equals 22. This one will give us 30x plus 6y. That's going to equal minus 3. Now again, look, you're trying to make these cancel. You're trying to make the y's cancel. That's why that's why you got the y's with the same number. Remember, the plus and minuses don't matter. It's just you've got the same number. And again, it's doing the C plus D here again. Because in C you've got minus 6y. Now you're going to add plus 6y. Remember, just if you consider that sign with it, there's nothing hard in this. Then it's literally, you can just kind of see this, right? This is your C bit. This is what happened. That's what we're doing between it. And that's kind of like the thing which we're adding, taking away. Simple. So minus 6y plus plus, which is just a plus, 6y. Minus 6y plus 6y, 0. Okay? If you try the other one of them should give you minus 12y, which is useless because we're trying to make it cancel, and the other one will give you 12y. So be careful with that. So it's C plus D that we need to do. And this is easy. So look, plus plus, Saddam. Do you see how it's easy? You don't have to... this is why it's easy. Once you know these are cancelling, then you don't really even have to use your brain. This one, 22 add minus 3 gives you... started there. 19. Right? 38x equals 19. Divide both sides by 38. 19 over 38. Guess what? As I said this again, this could be in a non-calculator. 19. Do your 19 times tables. 19, 38. Alright, great. So literally this is 19 times 1 over 19 times 2. Cancel that out. Your x equals a half. Plug it into one of these. So we'll plug it into the top one. 4 times a half is 2. Minus 3y equals 11. So I'm actually going to add 3y because I don't like negatives. So I get to 2 equals 11 plus 3y, which by the way, I might prefer looking at it like this. You can do that anytime. Minus 11. 3y equals minus 9. Divide by 3, I get y equals minus 3. So there's my answers. X equals a half, y equals minus 3. Remember, I didn't do this actually for the last example, you should. You can double check, right? So, because I used this equation to find y, I'm just going to double check with this equation. So, right, so 10 times a half is 5. 2 times minus 3 is... 2 times minus 3 is 6, minus 6. And does that equal minus 1? It sure does. So that's correct. And that's it. I guess for the final example, what I'll show you is when you have 2 negatives. Needs to be straightforward as well. So say you've got this. Say you've got 3x minus 2y equals 16. 5x minus 3y equals 26. So here's what I might do. I might just, I'm going to times this one by 3, this one by 2. So here we go. The first one's going to give me 9x minus 6y equals 48. The second one's going to give me 10x minus 6y equals, what does that equal? 52. Right, and now I just got to be a little bit smart. So I'm trying to make these y's cancel. Remember, minus 6y, minus 6y. So if I add them, you'll see they don't cancel. So C has minus 6y. If I add minus 6y, so this will become a minus. I'll get minus 6y minus 6y. So that is going to give me minus 12y. No use to me whatsoever. Now the other ones, they're going to both work. But which one's the smarter one to do? So if I do c minus d, I'll just show you, and the exact same thing happens for the other one. I've got minus 6 minus 6y, plus minus 6y plus 6y, that's 0, that's what I want. Now, again, look, I want to avoid the negative. So obviously, look, if I can either take this away from that or this away from that, it doesn't matter. So wouldn't I rather, because this has got a bigger x, I want to take, if I call this d and c, I might as well take d minus c, because then I'll do 10x minus 9x. If I do c minus d, I'm going to get minus x. So let's go for d minus c. Right, so this one, I'm going to end up getting 1x. It's just x. These are going to cancel. Then obviously I'll do 54, take away 48 as well, right? d minus c. So that gives me 4. So there you go, x is 4. Sorted. Now, use that to plug it in. I'll use the first one. So 3 times 4 is 12, minus 2y equals 16. I'm going to add 2y. Obviously, you could also take away 12 and then divide by minus 2. It's really which one you prefer. So, I'll change it to 12 equals 16 plus 2y. Now I take away 16 from each side. I get to minus 4 equals 2y. Which is exact same as that, divide by 2, get y equals minus 2. So there you go, that's my answers. You want to practice this a little bit, just hopefully you're practicing. I mean, at the end of this kind of section, I'm going to go through plenty of examples. But yeah, when I do go through those examples, make sure you're doing it yourself as well, don't get lazy. Alright, because I use this one to find my y, I'll just double check that I'm correct with this. So 5 times 4 equals 20. Minus 3 times minus 2 is actually going to be a plus 6. Does that equal 26? Yes. So that's it. So that's how you do simultaneous equations. But guys, really do kind of practice with this bit. For some of you, it's really going to take a while before you get the hang of it. I mean, it's a bit tricky. I've got to be honest. Yeah, it's tricky. With a little bit of practice, especially focus. You know how I was going about. If you go about it that way, it's going to make your life much easier. Okay? So, right, end of that video. And now we're going to go to the simultaneous equations, hard ones. Now, look, go fix up yourself with solving quadratics. If you know how to solve quadratics, this is going to be a breeze. So, I'll see you in the next video.